Hello, my friends. Happy New Year. It's a new year. I can't even believe that we are in 2026 so quickly. It feels like 2025 flew by. I don't know. I think just as I get older, all the years fly by so much faster. You guys can't see it, but I have made a major change in my desk. And so everything in front of me looks a little bit different, and it is so crazy. I was just telling some of my friends, like, it's so wild how much a simple change can make to the way the entire space feels. So I spent some time like cleaning off my desk. I bought a monitor riser that was just like $35. So not a huge expense, but it has changed the way my desk feels, my entire desk, and it just feels really good. I've made some changes to my planner lineup, and that has been really fun. I have been trying to slowly but surely change some things in my house, but, you know, I think in previous years, I have tried really hard to be like, "Let's get everything done by January 1st." I have to, like, record and show a New Year's reset on YouTube of every area of my closet, every piece of my house needs to be clean, all of that kinda stuff, and it really has just been a little bit more fun and grace and other things like that. It just has been really good. So the planner changes are just in my planner lineup for this year. I haven't made additional changes. I just for this year. So if you go onto my channel and you watch my planner lineup video for 2026, that is the changes that I've made. So I didn't buy a new like tarot journal. Everything's going in this one. I'm using a pocket planner this year. I created a health and fitness planner. So all those setups are over on Heart Breathings. But that feels really good because I just am using less stuff, which feels really good. And it just feels like, okay, this time I've put a lot of real thought into exactly what is supporting me this year. And that feels really fun and just like new stuff. Just I'm materialistic, I guess, because I'm just so motivated by new things. Like new systems make me feel refreshed. And so that has been fun to be setting that up every night, but I haven't reset my Kanban board yet. So that hopefully will happen today, tomorrow. And then we've got my new membership is called the Follow Through Fix, and that is starting on Sunday. So I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, like thinking about the year and what all we're going to do and how to really make a difference. And that has been fun. So I'm just not as worried about every tiny little thing getting done before the start of the year. But I do feel that like little bit of anxiety when I'm like, oh man, my closet isn't finished. The bathroom is a mess because I pulled everything out of my closet into the bathroom. Uh, and I'm just trying to give myself that extra time to set it all up. We are leaving for Raleigh next Thursday, so there will be no coffee chat next week because we'll be out of town. And I saw a few of you did email me about a Raleigh meetup, but I haven't emailed back. So just hold on that. Yes, I did extend. I decided to extend the discount until tomorrow night at midnight for anybody who wants to join that. There is a link in the description, but no pressure, obviously, just if it feels right to you. Yes, I've been working on give myself grace this year and the last few for not getting all the things done before January 1st. Hard, but necessary. I just feel like this year I really want to focus more on let's set it up for just, let's set it up for the entire year. Like, let's set myself up for success rather than like sometimes when I'm trying, this is hopefully relatable, but also confessional is sometimes when I'm trying to like set things up and I would just want to get everything clean, I will just like throw things into boxes or shove things into corners and close the door because I just want the main space to feel really good. And I will just not worry about the things that I don't have time to organize, which is also fine. Like there's not anything wrong with that. But it's just this year I'm like, okay, things are going to be messy probably until I get back from Raleigh and have time to just completely settle into it because I want to set things up in a way that just feels really, really good. Double Down Day is tomorrow. If you're in the Heart Breathings writing community, Double Down Day is tomorrow. There's probably a schedule up. I don't know. Angela, did we post the schedule? I'm going live at some point tomorrow, but I don't know when. I forgot to look. just so many things going on. So I don't know. But yes, Double Down Day is tomorrow. And then the third weekend of January is our virtual writing retreat. All the dates are posted in the Heart Breathing's Writing Community Facebook group. Oh my gosh, yes, revealing my organizational style. So my Clutterbug style is butterfly. And yeah, I need visual systems that work for me. I can't out of sight, out of mind. And so yes, I'm at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you, Angela. So I will be live 11 a.m. Eastern for a couple hours tomorrow, and I'm going to be working on edits for A Mirror of Shadows, and I am very excited to finally get this book into shape. This month, I am hoping, just for book news, to finish A Mirror of Shadows edits and also draft at least the first half of A Throne of Thorns. And if you are in the Broken Chapter Society, I'm going to give you guys a mood board for your January wallpaper for desktop and phone. So I'll post that as soon as we're done here. I will say I have a headache today. I feel like I have had a headache every day for like 3 days. I think it must be shifts in allergies here in Texas because we've had this sort of like 50-degree shifts in a day. So it'll be 80 degrees during the day and 30 at night. And I think my sinuses are like trying to revolt. So I have this like very hard sinus headache. So I will do my best to stay energetic throughout the call. But also, how cute is this? I have to say thank you to Angela and her husband for getting this for me because they were sold out in my area. But I have it now because they sent it to me. Headache is not good. It's not like a migraine. It's just like a constant annoyance right here in this space. Did you watch the London fireworks show online? No, I did not. The only fireworks show I watched was the Dallas one, the local Dallas one. Oh no, you've got a headache too, Gail. I'm sorry. I've had a headache for days, then it turned into a drippy cold. I'm so sorry. Yeah, George is always like, drink more water, but I've been drinking constant water. I can't stop peeing. I'm like, I don't know that it's a water thing. I think it's just a sinus thing. But maybe I'm just constantly dehydrated, which is a possibility too. I have woken up 3 days in a row with a headache too. Sinus with the warmer weather. Yep, same. Sydney. I missed the first part of that conversation. Oh, my floor drobe is out of control. I have never heard that before, but yes, my floor drobe is also out of control. So bad. Could be electrolytes. I was drinking like electrolytes that had stevia in it, but I've just cut out all sweeteners right now because I was having this like stomach issues and I don't know what exactly was causing it. So I just cut out everything. So you might be right about that. Could be electrolytes. But the wild temperature swings have been really tough for me. New Year's Eve fireworks. I didn't watch any of them. I need to go on. I'm sure they're all on YouTube to watch all the yearly fireworks and things like that. So that is a good thing to go pay attention to. But I figured one thing to kick off a conversation perfect for the new year is just a conversation about like, how do you, as you begin thinking about this year, and you start thinking about the goals that you have for the year, the things that you really want to get done, how do you learn to really believe in yourself and overcome your fears of, I'm not good enough, I don't think I can do this, it feels too hard, I don't have the skills necessary to do it? Like, how do you really truly begin to believe in yourself? Because in the end, going after our goals is about so much more than just doing the thing. Like, doing the thing is great. Like, we need to do the thing. We need to write the book, start the channel, do the goals. Anybody want to put like what your big, if you want to, in the comments, tell us if you feel comfortable, what is the one thing that if you could do it, if you actually did it in 2026, would be so proud of yourself and feel so good? Like for me, it's always hard for me to say one particular thing because I have like 20. And I know some of you relate to that. Yes, Janine, it's your year. This is happening. Yeah. And it's okay if, sometimes I think that there's this idea of like, oh, we should be ashamed if it hasn't happened on this timeline. But the truth is, it just never was the right time. Like, you had to get yourself to a place where you were ready to do this, right? And there's nothing wrong with something being on your to-do list for years. It's eventually it will be the thing you did. And so if this is the year, let go of any kind of like, oh, it was on my list years ago, and just say, this is the year that it's going to happen. Because you have made progress, right? You've been working toward it. It's just, this is the year you finally do it. Publish the redacted book. I love that. Okay, write and publish my debut novel, publish the first book in a new to me genre, getting my literary agent, finishing one of the books I've been working on and letting people read it, publishing my first novel. There's so much of this. I love this. Several people have said publish my first book. This is very exciting. Oh my gosh, look at all these publishing goals. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Submit my short story to a competition, proof copy my other 3 books. They're all in revisional status. Start a blog. Where are you going to start your blog? So many people are talking about Substack right now. Write some essays, write steady, and start to post about my progress. Live abundantly. Linda, I love that. Sometimes if you post something and then you post a follow-up to it, like 5 things later, there's like 50 comments in between. So I can't always read what the follow-up is. I have several massive goals, but the main one is to get my health on track and lose about 100 pounds. Yeah, I know weight loss is a triggering comments or topic for some people, but this has been on my goals for a long time too. And I finally did lose 25 pounds this year, which felt really good. Get my driver's license and start driving. I'm in my late 30s, have severe anxiety and shame. No shame, no shame. It's all good. I know it's easy to say that, like you feel what you feel and it is valid. However, once it's done, right? And then it can be turned to pride. Like we can turn those things into pride. These goals are amazing. Finish my master's degree in writing. They are amazing. Publish the next 3 books in my series on Substack and Instagram for short content. Awesome. Improve my health, publish 2 novellas, focus on the things I accomplished, not the things I don't, which is super, super fun because, when we start talking about focusing where our focus is going to be and where our intentions are, this kind of plays into believing in ourselves too, because, I think for a long time when I was younger, I believed goal setting was just about setting a goal and getting the work done. But then I started to run into all these issues where it was like, technically, I should be getting this work done. Why is it not happening? So then it started to become this realization that actually, in order to do the work, I had to believe in myself. I had to overcome my fears. And I started to realize that achieving our goals and following through is as much about our personal growth journey, like our internal journey, as it is about the external work that we do. And I think that this is an under discussed topic. Like it's just one of those things that I think leads to us feeling often like, what's wrong with me? All these people around me just say like, make this plan and do this thing and it'll all work out. But then why am I making a checklist and I don't follow through with it? Even though I could follow through with it, I'm not doing it. What is the problem? And then that starts to lead to a negative momentum cycle of, what's wrong with me? Why am I fundamentally flawed? Why do all these things work for other people, but it doesn't work for me? And we start to feel like it's our fault, like we're not good enough. And that becomes this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, because the more we doubt ourselves, the harder it is to take action with confidence and to put ourselves out there. And then the more delay we have, the more we feel like it's never going to happen. And we doubt ourselves and compare ourselves to other people. So we get into this cycle of negative momentum and negative things that continue to happen. And then it's like, maybe it'll never happen for me. Maybe it's just not meant to happen. Maybe I'm not the right person. Maybe I'll never be good enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And then we start to sometimes even assign meaning to things that shouldn't have that meaning. Just kind of like, for example, oh, my books aren't selling. And then we assign that to a meaning of, my books aren't good enough. I'm not doing it right. And so there's a couple of different ways that could go. Either because we've now decided that we either give up or we go slower, or we actually sort of, I don't want to say betray ourselves. That's not exactly what I mean, but sort of we will get out of alignment with our own true goals and say, well, if this isn't working for me, I need to be more like other people. So, for example, some of the predominant message that I see in indie publishing in Facebook groups from people is, if you want to be successful, you got to, screw writing what you love. You need to write only to market the trendiest genres. You have to take out Facebook ads. You have to be in Kindle Unlimited. You have to write sexy. You have to, and there just will be this list of all the things you have to do. And so when we start to get to that place where we're doubting ourselves, we can't see our path, we see all these other people that are giving advice, we start to think, well, my way must be wrong. So let me do the thing that they're telling me to do. When in fact, you might be leaning into their skills and their strategy and their like what's working for them in the moment rather than what works long term. Yeah, as fast as possible. That's another one. And I have been around long enough to know that I have seen so many people that will leave that advice in a Facebook group and then 3 years later come back and talk about how they're so burned out, they're having back surgery, they can't keep up with it, the genre has changed and they can't figure out how to write the most trendy thing anymore. They're tired of having to switch genres all the time. They're unfulfilled. And of course, that's not everybody's story, but I have seen it happen time and time and time again. And it's like, if we want, I know not everybody here has author goals, so we see you even if you're not an author, but with all goals, in the moment, it can feel like, yes, this hustle thing that people are telling me to do, this sort of going away from what feels natural to me and doing what everybody else says I should do feels like the right path. But the truth is, even those people sometimes who are spouting that advice, that doesn't actually work for them long term. And so we have to really, I think, at one point, step back and say, but what is it that I really want? And that is really complex, especially when you're trying to make a living out of your goals and you're trying to make money or get out of a job or do whatever, because it's also, it also is true that we live in a capitalistic society. We are at the mercy of certain algorithms, and there are some genres that are going to have greater potential to sell than others. But it's so much about like a combination of all of those things and finding like what are the real truths of how you want to build your career and build your life in a way that feels sustainable and working for yourself. I don't know if it was, I say things all the time that I don't even remember, but I don't know if this was me. The path of someone else doesn't mean your path is any less beautiful. I love that, whoever said it. But that is true too. It's like, there are so many infinite paths to success. It's like the internet and opening up a global audience made that true for so many of us, but there are just infinite paths. So if you see what's working for someone else, that doesn't necessarily mean, and Becca Syme talks about this a lot. So if you don't follow her, she has a YouTube channel here called The Quit Cast. Like, it comes from her book, Author You Need to Quit Cast. But she talks a lot about this, and she did a recent video kind of talking a little bit about matching your skill set. But it is true that a lot of people who find success will attribute it to something, but they don't understand that there was some luck involved, or they don't understand that they have a skill that other people don't. So for me, for example, I am very futuristic. I'm very motivated by the future. So when someone tells me I'm not motivated at all by the future, it throws me for a loop, because I cannot imagine a world where I'm not motivated by what might come to be in the future, like a future goal. But there's a lot of people who aren't motivated by the future. And so we have to figure out our own thing, because like somebody whose talent is to think about the future and be motivated by future goals, it's so innate to me that I take it for granted, and I don't necessarily consider it part of what makes me successful, because it's just how I am. And you probably have certain things like that as well that you take for granted or whatever. But everybody who's giving you advice has some piece of their success that they don't realize was part of their success. And they might be like, well, it's just because I published fast. But it might not be at all because they published fast. It might be 5% fast publishing and 90% this other skill that they had that they just take for granted. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head. And this is also a truth of it. If we're all if and this happens a lot in I think in the world in general is that a lot of people will go, "Ooh, this is working," so then everybody flocks to it. And you see this is why a lot of the algorithms tend to change on places like Instagram and YouTube and other places like that is because somebody will be like, "Oh, you know what? This thing is really working." And so then everybody flocks to it and everybody uses it. And then suddenly it's not a like a qualifier anymore to make you stand out. So then people find something else or they switch the algorithms to encourage you to do something different. So in this world that we live in, it often is the case. So people will be like, "Oh, dark romance is making the most money." So then a million authors are like, "Well, I'm going to write dark romance." And then suddenly the readers are like, too many people writing dark romance." And so then everybody switches to this other thing. And so if you're just constantly following that trend, and it's not your natural state to want to switch things up, because some people like to be flexible like that. "Oh, I love to jump on the trend. I love to write new things and experiment and, like, chase it." But some people, it's like, that will just kill you, it'll just burn you out, and so it's really just a matter of thinking with, yourself of, like, what is it that what most aligns with me? And even if your path might look different from what everyone else does, maybe that's the thing that makes you stand out from everyone else. So, Ugh, you haven't found what motivates you at all, Kelly? Um, yeah, it's a we're gonna talk about that a little bit coming up too. You need to have double digit beta readers, otherwise your book will fail. Make sure all your betas like it. Yeah, I mean, that's not even true for majority of authors. That's what's happening with Substack. All the celebrities are on there and the smaller voices get drowned out. I went through therapy. My counselor was brilliant. Take what works, leave the rest. Yes, I love that, Lisa. It is so true. It's like as we look around, the more you can develop a skill of like take the advice that works for you, but don't like, if you look at someone and you see all their path, it can be very helpful to be like, but is that how I want to do it? Like if they're publishing 7 books a year and they're starting a new pen name every year and they're taking out $200,000 in Facebook ads, that is a viable path. Is that going to work for me? Do I have a talent for reading data? Do I already have a skill set of writing that fast? And if not, then you probably can't replicate what is working for them. However, you might find some piece of their path that tips that they're giving that you think, oh, I can actually utilize that for myself. And I think that that can be really helpful. But in the end, actually following through with your goals, there are a couple of different, um, there are a couple of different things that I think need to be in place to really follow through that people don't talk about a lot. One is you need to believe it's possible for you, right? So if you are wanting to be a best-selling author, I feel like I need a different give me another example besides authoring, because I know there's people here that are like, "Ugh, that's all she talks about is authors." Um, let's I don't wanna use like a health goal either. I'm trying to think of another goal. Um, we'll just use a social media influencer goal, and we'll say, let's say you really want to become a person on Instagram in any kind. Oh, athlete is a great one. Let's do athlete. Let's say you want to be an athlete and you want to actually become, let's say we'll use Instagram athlete. You want to be someone who talks about fitness on Instagram and to be an athlete, to be someone who runs marathons and follows through with it. That could be your goal. But if every time you go to run or work out, your brain and your body is telling you this isn't who you are, you have this, you're too lazy, you're never gonna, like, everyone tells you that you need to get up early in the morning and I'm not a morning person, or everybody says if I'm going to be a marathoner, I have to be able to run it in this many 3 hours or whatever, and I'm not able to do that. The more you don't believe that it's even possible for you, the less motivated you're going to be to actually follow through with that goal, because most of us are only going to follow through with the goal that we feel like we can achieve at least at some point in the future. And so if you don't believe in yourself, you're already holding yourself back. And that's one of the reasons you're going to feel that resistance every time you go to like start training for a marathon, because you're going to be like, I was always told I was lazy. I can't run faster. I can't even run a mile yet without stopping. Every time I get on the treadmill, I hate to sweat. Like there could be any number of things that you're just like, I don't even believe this is possible for me. So that is one piece of it that holds us back. The other piece of it is that we're aiming for a goal that is so far away that it just feels almost ethereal. It's some distant thing like 10 years from now, maybe I'll be able to finish a book, or maybe I'll be able to become an athlete or run a marathon. And it just feels so far that it doesn't feel achievable for you because of the time or because of your age or because of the things you've tried in the past that have showed you that you can't do it. So, self-belief, even though it seems like this side thing, it's not like the running, it's not the action that you take, is actually the most important thing in getting you to actually do it, right? Is marathon walker a thing? Probably. I mean, some marathons will have, time limits that like, you wouldn't be able to walk it, you'd have to run it just because you wouldn't be able to meet the time deadline, but some marathons you could probably walk. Like, I know people that have half run, half walk marathons, and that works, and yeah, there is, like, speed walking and things like that, so you could find those. And so at that point, there's a few things, and part of it is, like, Catherine Zenkina, who is the Manifestation Babes, talks about this, like, the ladder of believability, and I really like this as well, of if you feel like when you think about your big goal, the big thing that you want to do with your life, if it doesn't feel like I believe that I can do it, can you bring it back to something that feels like a target you can hit? And the more you can create that next step in the line of something that feels achievable. So if you wanted to be someone who runs a marathon, but you can't even run a mile yet, then maybe you pull that back and you just say, I want to learn how to run a mile without stopping. So one of the things you could do then is start with walking and then find a training thing inside Pinterest or whatever that says, um, here's how you begin to run a mile, or you might want to increase your stamina or other things like that. But a lot of times self-belief is just about taking that big, huge goal that feels like it's too far away and pulling it down to something that feels achievable. And sometimes we hold ourselves back, I think, from doing this because we're like, well, I don't want to run a mile. I want to learn to run a marathon. Like I don't feel motivated by running a mile. So that's where we start talking about dominoes, where we say, okay, well, yes, eventually I want to run a marathon, but for now, instead of just separating it entirely from the goal, you start to build a ladder, or you set out dominoes. You say, first, I'm going to run a mile. And then once I can run a mile, I'm going to run a 5K. And then once I can do a 5K, I'm going to train for a half marathon. And then once I can do that, I can do a marathon. And then maybe you could say, now that I'm in a marathon, I can run an Ironman and do a triathlon, or, whatever it may be for you, if that's your next thing. I too am not motivated to run a marathon. It's like my sister runs marathons. Actually, she had an injury, so I don't know that she'll ever run them again, but she has run marathons, and she is a very, very slow runner, but she does it, and she finished it. So for her, it didn't feel achievable to run it within like 4 hours, or what would be realistic for like a fast runner, but to do it in her own time space felt like it opened up the world of belief. And you can apply this to pretty much anything that you're trying to achieve in your life, is say, okay, well, this feels too big, or when I think about it, it feels like it's too far out. So how can I build the next rung on the ladder? Like, if you reach upward for something that's too far away. So one of the ways that, instead of a ladder, I've talked about this before, is if you were trying to be an archer and somebody you'd never like shot an arrow ever in your life, chances are if I put that arrow 50 yards away, that target, you're never going to hit it. Like you could have a million arrows sitting next to you and you could just shoot forever and never hit it. And when that is when everything you do feels like that, like I'm just shooting arrows and they're just going randomly and nothing ever hits a target, you begin to chip away at your self-belief because you're like, this is impossible. I'm never going to get there. And so for some of us, we've been feeling like we have been going after this goal for so long and we're not really seeing any real progress. So part of that is because the target is too big, it's too far away. You've set for yourself a really difficult, if not impossible target. But instead of just being like, well, I suck if I can't hit that target, all you have to do is walk over there, grab the target and bring it closer. Now it's so close that every time you shoot the arrow, it'd be hard for you to miss, right? And what we do when we're trying to truly believe in ourselves and we're trying to increase our belief. This is on my mind because I just recorded a video that'll go up tomorrow about this. But there's so many videos on YouTube right now about like disappear for 30 days and come back and shock them all, or like here's how you lock in for the next 90 days and change your whole life. Like people say like act in silence, tell no one your goals, and come back and like everything is fixed. And it's so motivating for me, but also so unrealistic because if we were just like, oh, I'm going to disappear for 90 days and at the end of it, I'm going to be a published author and be making $1 million, like that's too far of a leap to make in 90 days. No matter what habits you changed, chances are unless you were someone who just had no other responsibilities and you could just 24/7 work on that goal, it's unrealistic to think that you could just disappear for 90 days and suddenly have this major goal accomplished. But that doesn't mean that you can't make real progress in a short period of time. But sometimes that expectation of I have to do it and I have to do it fast and I have to change everything and it has to be perfect is actually less than helpful. It's actually harmful to have that message in your ear that I have to like suddenly flip a switch on myself and become perfect overnight, because it's not realistic for most of us. And we do actually still have life, right? Like we're still going to have illnesses. We're still going to have kids up at 3 a.m. We're still going to have people we have to take care of, or we're still going to have that boss or that person at work that constantly puts us down, or, all of that kind of stuff. I love this. I like the idea of disappearing for 90 days. Who funds that? Can we disappear to Disney? I would love that. Like it would be great. Let's do a boot camp where we actually get to leave our lives for 90 days. I mean, I wouldn't even want to do that for 90 days, but, a time turner, or you could, if you just really had nothing else to do. And I know that the core of it is just this idea of just really get focused, right? I know that's what they mean. But if you are not in a place where you believe it's possible for you to make some changes, you're not going to do anything over those 90 days. You're going to just feel discouraged. And so what I really recommend, if you have struggled to believe in yourself, and that is one of the reasons you feel resistance or you keep self-sabotaging or you feel afraid, is move the target closer and stop expecting yourself to quantum leap. Because one of the worst things that we could do for ourselves is expect that we are going to like have to make massive change in a short period of time, or we're not capable, right? It's okay to pick up the target, move it as close as possible, because if the target is here and you're trying to hit it with an arrow and all your arrows are just going right here, you're hitting halfway through. You might still be making progress and getting better, but you don't know it because you're not hitting the target, and it just constantly feels like failure, 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 failure. But if you picked that target up and you moved it so much closer, you would get better and better and better, and your confidence would get higher and higher and higher. So if you can think of ways that you can say over the next 90 days or over the next month, in the month of January, how can I give myself a target that feels really achievable so I can start building positive momentum? Because for me, one of the biggest things that has helped me with imposter syndrome or feeling like I'm not good enough is, instead of comparing myself to people who have what I want, is instead bringing my goals down so that I am paying attention to any minor evidence that things are going in my favor. Um, like, if I feel, for example, like I'm not making a difference in the world and I'm having a bad day and it feels like, "Oh my gosh, look at this person who has like 1.2 million subscribers and I'm not anywhere close to that, and I had my worst year ever for subscribers," and I could just be down on myself and down on myself and down on myself. Or I could say, "Wow, let me get into a place of gratitude for every single new person that joined my community this year, for every single person that has a good comment to make, for every single person who shows up on Coffee Chat." And instead of like comparing it to somebody else who has what I want down the line, I can just find a space of like gratitude and then think, okay, what's the next step that I could take? And what is every single evidence that I could make for myself between now and the end of January that says I'm actually making progress toward that goal. So, for example, I went into the HB90 Bootcamp alumni group, and somebody had posted, I don't know if they're here or not, but somebody had posted a picture of their like workspace. And in that workspace, they had a Kanban board, they had Your Path Forward dominoes, their milestone board. And it was just very informed by like, these are the tools I teach, but it's not just, oh, someone bought my class. It's actually, this is changing someone's life. They're using it actively, which then to me builds positive momentum because it says I have hit a target that I set for myself a long time ago, which is to help other people achieve their goals. And so now that I see that that's possible, it gives me positive momentum rather than looking for someone who has something that I haven't achieved yet and feeling like that target is so far away that I can't possibly achieve it. Does that make sense? So it's just this idea of taking like the reality of the situation has not changed, but I begin to see the evidence that the things I'm doing are working. And the more I can stay connected to that evidence that this is working, things are moving forward, I made a difference, it really makes a huge difference. And I had a win. Like, another thing when it comes to believing in yourself and moving forward is not downplaying your achievement just because it's not what someone else achieved. So I'm gonna give you an example. I made a reel, some of you might have seen it on my Heart Breathing's Instagram, that was just like a cheeky little, fun with goals. It was like 2025 goals, and, it was inspired by another reel that I had seen last year. I was like, "I'm gonna make my own version of this," and it was basically just like looking at your goals and then changing your goals so that you could check them off. So, for example, it said like, "Eat healthy," and I marked out the word healthy and just said, "Eat," and I was like, "Yeah, achieved," right? And it was just a very tongue in cheek, funny reel, although some people thought it was like my real goals, but, whatever. It was a funny, humorous little reel, right? And I have had a belief in my mind, and I have said it so many times that like I just have never had a reel go viral. I have never had anything that goes above like 5,000 views. It just is always the same. And if I stayed in that mindset, and also, I've had this mindset of like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't published really anything on Instagram in months, so it's not gonna do very well." If I did that, I might have been like, "I don't even believe a reel could do anything, so I will just not post at all." And those are kind of the 2 paths that I could have taken. Is I could have been like, "Everything's working against me. Nobody is really engaged with my account right now because I haven't been posting. I can never get any traction on my reels," whatever. That is one chance that I could, or one belief that would hold me where I am and keep me from posting and make me feel like I am not making a difference. Or what I did instead was like, "Well, this will be kind of funny. I could do this," and release the idea of what it's going to do and just be like, "This will be funny." And the people that watch it, hopefully they'll enjoy it. And I didn't bring any negativity to it at all, but I made that reel, thought it was funny, posted it, and when I came back, it had like 4,000 views in an hour, and I was like, "What? This never happens." And instead of letting that trigger imposter syndrome or whatever, I just made a journal post, and I was like, Instagram is so successful for me, and just started putting, even if I didn't fully believe it, just started putting affirmations of like, when I have fun on Instagram, other people have fun watching me. When I just do it instead of overthinking it, things work out. And I started like putting the evidence that this could be really fun. Now, could I, like, I think right now I put it up on YouTube and I put it on Instagram. And on Instagram, it has like 17,000 views, which might be my best ever reel ever. And on YouTube, it has 14,000 views because I don't know why. Why did it do so well? Good timing, luck, hit an algorithm, and I have not posted on Instagram consistently in months. So from what everybody tells you is the like conventional wisdom that you have to stay consistent or nothing will take off. Well, that proves that's not even true. Um, what was funny about the reel was just that, I just changed my goals. So, like I was just saying, like, I put 2025 goals, and then I put write 3 books, but I didn't do that, so I just took out 3 books and made it right. Eat healthy, I didn't do that, so I just took out the word healthy. Buy less stickers, I took out the word less, so now it says buy stickers. So it was just a funny little reel of, like, you make your goals work for you, either way. And, but the point is, it overperformed. Not every reel is gonna do that, but it's just this idea of that right there. I could take that and I could downplay it and say, "Well, it won't do it again." Well, so many other people, like, obviously, it's not viral, it's not hitting 1,000,000 views, but I could say that, I could be like, "Well, it's not viral. It's not hitting 1,000,000 views. There's nothing compared to this other person I was watching." And that would keep me from trying to have fun with the next one. It adds a lot of pressure. It adds this negative momentum to it. Or I can make a choice and I could say, uh, "That was fun. Let's see if we could do it again." Like, the more fun I have with Instagram, the more fun everybody else has. That would be awesome. And instead of taking it so seriously, just believe in myself and say, that's evidence that at any moment a reel could do really well, could do better than I thought it could. And having this positive momentum makes it more fun for me and makes it more likely that I'm gonna post again, and it makes it more fun that people will enjoy it rather than me going, "Well, it didn't do as well as somebody else's reel." It's just like infusing as much as you can with that sense of gratitude, having fun with it, not taking it so seriously, and just realizing that sometimes the limitations that we placed on ourselves is not true, right? Like, "Oh, if I don't post every day, I'm never gonna grow." Well, that's not actually true. Like, you could take a 3-month break and then come back and something could do better than you think. And that becomes evidence, right? That it is like that. It's just a reel. It's just a reel on Instagram. It's my most recent one, but, um, I'm a little behind, but you've made a difference for me. The positivity of the online space you've created is life altering. Thank you for that. And see, like, everybody here for your goals, even if you don't believe in yourself, you can find evidence. Like, if you go searching for it, you can begin to find evidence of progress, even when you felt or someone told you that it wasn't true. So when it comes to, let's say, book sales, you could either look at your year and say, "Oh my gosh, I still didn't hit my goals," or you could search for evidence that you did make progress and that this is going to be a better year for you. Like, "Hey, I might not have published the book yet, but look, I actually overcame this belief. I found a better group of friends." Like, see if you can find the things that make you feel better, the evidence that you have that things you are moving in the right direction, right? Because if, let's say, you are in a spot of, you've had a really tough year, you didn't see a lot of progress. And in fact, if you're like me, like, my income went backwards this year, my growth on YouTube was not as good as it was the year before. There are several things that, if you just look at the data, things went backwards this year. And I could obsess over that. And I could be like, it's evidence that everything's falling apart and nothing's going the right way. But I'm not doing that at all. And in fact, what I've done instead, when I start really looking at the evidence, I say, wow, first of all, I got to go to Australia this year. Like, what a cool experience that was. Second of all, I had my first ever in-person event, and that was life-changing for me because I met some of my best friends in the world and got to hang out with them. People I knew, but, like, really solidified our friendship. I felt like It was such an amazing group of people, and I'm excited to do that again. Like, I can focus on the things that actually moved me forward, even if it's not money or followers or whatever. There are things that were bigger than that that moved forward this year. I also took an entire month off for myself, which I haven't done in a long time, and had this realization that will serve me for the rest of my life, which is that there comes a point in everybody's business where you can no longer scale by yourself. And I have realized that that is the only thing holding me back. And what an amazing realization, because I can hire people to help, right? And there's a solution moving forward. But if I was only focused on the negative, I wouldn't see the positive parts of that, right? And so when we start really talking about how to gain positive momentum, how to overcome your fears, how to truly believe in yourself, sometimes I think the biggest piece of it is just being able to recognize what are the things that you're looking at that you're taking as evidence or truth that are making you feel negative. Because if it takes away your power, if it makes you feel worse, if it makes you feel negative momentum, if it makes you feel like your goals aren't possible for you, then it's not helpful. And usually it's not true either. There's something about that. If it's not motivating to you, if it doesn't feel like evidence that you're moving in the right direction, it either needs to be something that you go, okay, then I have to change, like I did. So I said, okay, I cannot operate like this anymore. I've got to get more support. I am worthy of more support. That's a thing that is true, that is negative, that I can't do it all myself, but ultimately feels empowering to me and motivating, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to build the team. I'm going to step outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to really build a team that's going to be like so empowering for me. And then the other things of like, oh, I didn't hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I must really suck and nobody loves my work. Well, that's not true, like, even a little bit. That's not even a little bit true, but I could feel that if I was only basing evidence of how I'm doing on that number, right? Um, so I hope this is making sense, because obviously I didn't have like a outline today. I'm just chatting. But I what I really wanna say is like, believing in ourselves is not a switch that we can turn on, like a light switch that we say, well, now I believe in myself. It is a personal growth journey. And one of the best ways that we can begin to believe in ourselves is to eliminate the things that make us doubt ourselves, look at things always in a perspective of growth mindset instead of static mindset, of fixed mindset, where we just say, well, I didn't gain any new followers, or I didn't make any money, or I didn't publish the book, or I didn't run the marathon, and take that as a zero, one or zero, and just say, well, because I didn't achieve that goal, I'm a zero. And instead say, but where can I find the progress? Where can I find where I took one step on the journey this year? And then how can I begin to build positive momentum off of that, instead of seeing it in a negative light and always beating ourselves up for it? And I know that there are some people, yeah, and I hit 80K, which is amazing. Um, and it's all growth. It's all growth. Uh, I'm struggling to think of goals or things I want to do this year. Every year is kind of the same. I have a career, I work, I take care of my family. I want to focus on health and fitness, but that's been the case the last like 5 years. Yeah. Coming up with the goals in terms of what exactly you want to do, I think can be different for everybody. Like, sometimes what helps is coming up with more specific goals rather than just, well, I want to keep focusing on my career. Be thinking, what is the specific thing I want to achieve in my career and why? Like, I want to focus on health and fitness. And, I was just talking to my friend Rebecca, and she's like, this year, my focus is not going to be on the outcomes, but rather on my habits. Like, I just want to focus this year on the habits. And I've got 10 habits I'm trying to build. And that, I think, is going to have a ripple effect across my life. So you might think of setting goals that are more like habits rather than outcomes. But if anybody has advice here on like, how do I set goals when every year feels the same? I think for me, this is also one of those things that is difficult for me, just because it's easy for me to think of goals because I always have way more than I can possibly achieve. And so helping people that don't know what their goals should be is always a little bit harder. But one of the main things I think can be helpful is just to look at your life the way it is now and say, what do I wish was different about my life and why? How would this part of my life being different affect me? And sometimes it can just be something like, I wish I could go on one vacation a year. Okay, great. So how much money do I need to make and how much time do I need to create for myself to be able to go on this one vacation? Okay, we're going to go to this place. It's going to be $2,000. Okay, now I've got my goal. I need to make an extra $2,000 and I need to have a week off, family vacation. So it doesn't always have to be this big thing of like, I'm going to be a best-selling author. I'm going to make $1 million. It can just be looking at your life right now and say, what would add to my life that feels like a great, fun goal to work toward? And so if you don't have anything big, it could just be that. And when it comes to, I want to focus more on health and fitness, get more specific about it. Like, is there something you want to do in terms of like, don't break the chain? I like my friend Ronnie. Do any of you know Ronnie Lauren? She is a fellow author, and she is one of the coaches for Becca Syme's Strengths for Authors coaching. And she is a good friend of mine. And I feel like our ideas are always kind of aligned. And she was just recently posting that she had a huge, like 365-day calendar for last year that went on her wall. And the only thing she wrote on there was her activity. And she had a goal for herself that was just, I want to work out every day of the year. And she only had like 6 days this year or last year that she didn't work out. And so it could be something like that you feel motivated by, not just, I want to focus more on health and fitness, but I want to work out every day because this feels motivating for me. Or I really want to learn how to this, or I want to be able to run a 5K. And sometimes just having that outcome can be so much better. Also, I think this is good too. Jennifer says, who says you have to have different goals? You don't really have to have different goals. Like, it's okay if your goals are the same every year. You just, like, most of my goals are always the same. It's just, I want a little bit more. So I'm always trying to just get to the next rung on the ladder or the next step on the staircase or hit the next domino. But the goal itself is always the same. Yeah, this is so relatable. I always have way more goals than I want to achieve than what will fit on my vision board. But yeah, I think that everybody is kind of different when it comes to what kind of goals motivate them. And so when we think about that, don't think that you have to fit into somebody else's ideas of what a goal is or what you need to be heading for. Cause like not everybody is motivated or wants a life where you have 1 million subscribers or where you are writing books that other people read. Like some people just want a little bit more quiet. Some people just want a little more peace. Some people just want an organized home and like a family life that feels satisfying. It doesn't have to be some big like outward goal. So just think about what do you like about your life right now and what do you want not like? What do you want to improve? And maybe it's always the same goals every time. Oh, you've taken 2 of Ronnie's online romance writing courses. She's amazing, right? I love a don't break the chain habit. Me too. I actually do love that. And I need to set some for myself for this year. Um, let's see. I love planning vacations. It keeps me motivated. I agree with this too. We were just talking about, I was talking last night to George about summer vacation and the kids and what they wanted to do. And he's so much like, why are we talking about this in January? And I'm like, because it motivates me to think about it. Plus, if you don't plan a summer vacation ahead of time, how do you budget for it? It's like you gotta plan. You gotta have some things that you're thinking about. But it also motivates me to have that vacation to look forward to. So for me, I always like to have that next thing that I'm leading toward. I heard about having input goals and output goals. That was very helpful for me. Yeah, there's different types of goals are going to work for different people, right? Speaking of vision boards, I watched the replay last night while I made a 2026 vision board for myself. If you were in the Broken Chapter Society, we did a little vision board party. It was a couple hours, and that is on replay for you guys if you want. My husband is the same as George. Yeah, some people just don't like to plan ahead, but for me, I'm always like, when's the next big vacation? Which is always fun. Maybe it's a men thing. It could be. It could be. But, it's whoever in your family has that responsibility of, like, the details, because, George is always like, "Oh, I don't know, it just magically worked out," and it's like, behind the scenes, that's, like, hours of me looking through and booking things and planning the budget and figuring out the route and all those things. So for him, it magically works out. So what do Andrew and Evie wanna do for the summer? They both said they wanna go back to South Padre Island, which is, like, one of the southernmost beaches here in Texas, and we did that a couple of years ago, so they both said they want to go, back there, so that's probably what we're gonna do. So now I get to do the fun of, like, looking for a rental and seeing where we wanna go, and do we wanna stop anywhere on the way, because for me, that's like a whole Pinterest board and enjoying, the fun of it. Exactly. Plus, it's like if I don't start planning it, how do I budget making sure we have the money to do it, right? So all of that stuff is important. My hubs is an over planner. Yeah. Everybody's got their own personalities. Does anyone know how to write story scenes in countries that are not one's native country, Italy, Corsica, etc., when one lives in America? Kind of a side question to our comments here, but a good one. When you're writing something right now, you have so much like internet capabilities, right? So you can pull up maps, you can pull up other people who live there that are doing vlogs, you can pull up all kinds of research on countries, you can look up cultures, whether it's set in today's world or set 100 years ago. There's just so much out there. Yeah, this is a good tip too. Watching foreign films that are set in that country, kind of you could go follow some vloggers or other people who currently live there that are vlogging about their lives. Instant Street View is good. You can literally go in and you can see. And if you have the money for it, planning a vacation there. But like I have been to Chicago a couple of times, and when I was writing Sacrifice Me, which is set partially in Chicago, I used Google Maps all the time. I made up a fake club, but it's on a real street. I also found some friends in a writers group that live in Chicago, and I was asking them questions to make sure. And like I do this for all research, like in Eternal Sorrows, they have to go into a hospital that's filled with zombies, but they're trying to look for antibiotics. And I don't know where an antibiotic would be in a hospital. So I had to reach out to a couple friends of mine that work as paramedics and as nurses and doctors and say, where would you find this in this instance? And we had a lot of fun kind of going back and forth about, well, here's what would be in an ambulance, and here's what would be in a med cart, and here's what would be in the pharmacy. And so you can start asking people. So those are some good things. So like if you come into any of the Heart Breathings Writing Community sprints, you could just say, does anybody ever been to Italy? Does anybody here live in Italy? Because there's just so much. We're all connected, right? Candace says, I'm trying to just find something to enjoy in each day because I've been feeling like I'm just existing and marking days off the calendar, wondering how many more days I'll have to get through. Oh, that sounds like burnout. And that is a really good awareness that you have about how you feel. So that's a perfect example of saying like, I know how things have been going and I want things to be different, but I'm not trying to aim for, okay, I'm the most joyful person in the world and I've achieved this $1,000,000 or whatever. You're just saying, I know what needs to be different for me right now is I just want to stop feeling like I'm going through the motions, and I want to feel like I'm being present to my life and I'm enjoying my life as I go. So I'm making the story as a blind guy, so maps wouldn't work for me. Yeah, I don't know then. I would guess so like watching vlogs and movies might not be as helpful either. Um, I'm trying to think. I guess maybe listening to audiobooks that are set in that area. I'm trying to think of other resources that would help as someone who can't physically see it. I don't know if anybody has any other good tips for that. That would be good. My main character forms a resistant movement that brings down heartless tech and replaces it with the human spirit, all before the time crunch of a progressive disease ending her life. Well, that sounds incredible. That sounds like high stakes. I love that. Um, and another thing too is that you can go ahead and be writing it, and at first, before you do of course, you said you're addicted to learning, so you might enjoy the learning part. But a lot of times for me is I will actually just write it, and then as I'm writing, determine what do I actually need to know? Because you don't need to know everything about Italy. You just might need to say, okay, I need to research this. I need to research this. I need to research this. But yeah, there could be travel guides for the blind online. There's probably Substacks. There's probably like written things that you can turn on the text to speech that you can listen to that will kind of guide you through like tourist attractions or what the culture is like here. Ooh, going into Reddit might be good too. Yeah. Um, so going back to this idea uh, of trying to stop just going through the motions. I think sometimes too, this is the importance of that target, not setting a target that doesn't feel achievable because like I'm in a down, I know I've been in negative momentum for a while, or I've just been feeling like there's no spark in my life right now. And just setting that next target of like, before I can go for bigger goals or bigger things, I just want to set that next target of like, what would feel really good right now? Carolina says, making a list of things that bring me joy and doing at least one a day changed my mood a lot. It was simple things like a cup of coffee or a walk. A lot of people talk about a dopamine menu, right? Some of you might have seen this where similar to a menu, you have appetizers, and appetizers are like really short things that you could do very quickly that just increase your dopamine a little bit. And then like the main meal is something that's like a longer, really serious thing. And then desserts are like really indulgent things that you don't want to do a lot. I've seen that for ADHD a lot, but if you're also trying to build positive momentum in your life and like stop going through the motions, get yourself out of depression or get yourself out of a tough like mental state, you're trying to build positive momentum, maybe consider creating a menu for yourself as well. Sort of like Carolina was saying, like, here's just quick things that I could do that make me feel better. Like a little appetizer might be a cup of coffee, or it might be getting on a Zoom call with a friend real quick, or it might be setting a timer and allowing myself to read outside. An actual like big menu thing might be going out with friends, booking a vacation, starting a brand new game. So George and I just started playing Elder Scrolls Online. If anybody here plays, let me know. We have just made our characters, so that should be fun. So those are like things that you might engage in long term. And then those desserts might be things that are just like really sweet things to do that make you feel a lot of joy, but that you maybe don't want to indulge in too much, like shopping or like going on like out to a nice indulgent dinner that costs a lot of money, or whatever. But those might be really fun. And the more you can think of ways to make it fun, to make it feel like an adventure, to give yourself the chance to be really present and sort of infuse some of those things into your daily life would be great. But I think that it can be really helpful to just, as you begin thinking about, how do I really begin to believe in myself? And is it holding me back that I feel like I'm not worthy of this? I don't feel like I'm good enough for it. How can you reframe some of those things that you've been comparing yourself back to? Let me set a target that feels really almost so achievable I can't miss it, and start building positive momentum that is going to teach and train my brain that there are ways that I am being successful. And then when you start to build that positive momentum, you naturally will begin to build your self-confidence, your self-belief, your joy. Your positive momentum will begin to grow to where you can see more and more possibilities for what you're capable of. And you'll begin to have a track record of things that you have done, that you've done well, and dreams that have come true. And even if it's tiny little things, it just can really make such a difference to have that running list of things that you can point to and say, I did this well. And just catch yourself anytime that you try to compare it to someone else. Well, I sold 100 books this year, but that's nothing compared to other people. Just kill that last part of it. Be like, oh my gosh, I sold 100 books this year. Let's see if I can sell 150 next year. That kind of thing. I think that can be really helpful. Pamela says, I've done exercises with my students to write 50 things that make me happy. The first few are easy, but as the list goes on, you realize that the majority of things are things that you're in control of. I think that's a great way to end our coffee chat. Everybody go make a list of 50 things that make you happy. Yeah, this is really great. I appreciate you guys being here. Happy New Year. Happy our first coffee chat of 2026. Book wise, like I said, I'm working on a Throne of Thorns. I'm working on a Mirror of Shadows edits and plot for a Throne of Thorns. And I'm hoping we're going to start reading a Throne of Thorns in February, but I'll keep you updated as I go throughout the process of writing. And then hopefully this year I will finish the Shadow Games and we will move on to the final book of the Shadow Demon saga. That's my hope for this year. And even if it doesn't happen on that timeline, that's kind of my trajectory for the next few books. And it's going to be hopefully a really good creative year. And I'm excited to get to spend it with you guys. So thank you for being here. And yes, this hour went by so fast. Happy Friday afternoon. I hope you all enjoy your weekend so much. I will not see you next weekend because I will be in Raleigh. However, if you are in the Raleigh-Durham area and you want to get together with us, we will probably be doing a meet up at one point during those few days. And so if you want to be a part of that, send me an email, sarah@heartbreathings.com or sarah@sarracannon.com. And otherwise, if you guys want that sort of motivation and help following through with stuff in the year, you're more than welcome to come join us in the Follow Through Fix, which is my yearly membership. We start on Sunday. So come join us if you would like to. And I think that's it. I love you guys. Hopefully we'll have a lot more news. Maybe in 2 weeks when we meet again for coffee chat, I'll have some news about A Mirror of Shadows release and when A Throne of Thorns will start reading. So fingers crossed, stay creative. I super love you guys. I will see you on Discord and on various YouTube channels and other things like that. But I love you. I hope this is such an amazing year for you all ahead. And I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.